For decades, the fight game is kind of run on a set of unwritten rules. The shared wisdom about what it takes to build a champion. But it turns out a decade of hard data is about to prove that wisdom was pretty much wrong.
You know the drill, right? It's the checklist for success we've all heard a million times. Get with the right team, find that legendary coach, sign with a big promoter. These are the things we've always been told are the absolute foundation of a fighter's career. They're the pillars of the sport. Or at least, we thought they were.
Okay, but here's the question that just flips the whole conversation on its head. What if the entire industry has been focused on the wrong things for decades? What if the real key to winning, the single biggest factor, has been hiding in plain sight this whole time?
Well, it turns out a decade of some pretty exhaustive data coming out of Los Angeles isn't just suggesting something new, it's presenting a new truth. And honestly, it's a truth that is flipping the entire model of fighter development completely upside down.
And this is it. This is the big one. The single most important factor in whether a fighter wins, consistently, over a long career, isn't their gym, it's not their promoter, it's not the hype. It's the system that builds their body, their physiology. And look, this isn't just a cool theory. The data is so overwhelming, it pretty much forces you to this conclusion.
And if you need a number to back that up, here's the one that just stops any argument dead in its tracks. The system we're about to break down has produced a win rate of over 90%, and that's across more than a decade of fight camps. A number like that, that's not a hot streak, that is a pattern. So, what is this system? Well, it's got a name, the Elitesmith Protocol, and what it does is completely reverse the old model. Instead of starting with style and strategy, it starts with science. It's all about engineering a better athlete from the inside out before you even start talking about fight plans. Now, what's really cool is how this all came to light. This wasn't some big marketing campaign or anything. It was just a quiet, relentless pileup of proof. This is where the data, well, it just ends the debate. I mean, we are talking about an analysis of over 1,000 fight camps. Let that sink in. 1,000. At that scale, you can just throw luck out the window. Hype, coincidence, none of it matters. What you're left with is just the cold, hard truth. And check this out, because this is where it gets crazy. When they crunched the numbers, they looked at every variable you can possibly think of. Did the sport matter? Boxing or MMA? Nope. Male or female? Didn't matter. Weight class, opponent's style, none of it changed the outcome. And here's the kicker. Even the old pillars, famous gyms, big-name coaches, had no statistical impact. The only thing that consistently predicted who would win was the system itself. This might actually be the most impressive part. This system didn't just work when everything went perfectly. It actually thrived in chaos. Last-minute opponent changes, short-notice fights, messy training camps. The stuff that absolutely tanks most fighters. It didn't seem to affect the outcome. The system was just that robust. So how does it actually work, right? How do you build an athlete that is just so consistently better? Well, the whole philosophy is surprisingly simple. You focus on upgrading the human hardware first. And when you put the two approaches side by side, man, it's like night and day. On one side, you have the old school way. Focus on style, endless sparring, just kind of guessing on weight cuts and running on intuition. On the other side, you've got the Elitesmith Protocol, a scientific focus on physiology-first, optimizing the body's output using actual real-time data. It's a total paradigm shift. So the whole protocol is built around this checklist, a checklist of pure physiological advantages. We're talking about maximizing everything from your central nervous system output and how much force you can produce to how efficiently your body uses oxygen and clears out lactic acid. It is literally about building a better athlete on a cellular level, way before you even start thinking about a game plan. And here's the analogy that just makes it all snap into place. You stop training fighters, you start upgrading hardware. Think about it. If a fight is just software running on two different computers, the one with the better hardware is going to win almost every single time. This system, it's a hardware upgrade. So, okay, once the data proved the system worked even in total chaos, the next question was pretty obvious, right? What happens if you get rid of the chaos completely? And that led to the next step in this evolution, building the perfect lab for it. And that's where Forj comes in. And let's be clear, this isn't just another gym. Think of it more like a laboratory.
Coach Andy Aguilar built this entire facility from the ground up specifically to serve the system, creating an environment where every single variable can be controlled. And I mean, literally everything is under one roof. You've got your technical training, your strength and conditioning, advanced recovery tech like hyperbaric chambers and cryotherapy. Then you have nutrition, data monitoring. They even have residency for the athletes. It's a complete all-in-one performance ecosystem, and every single piece of it is aligned with the system's principles. And the results? Well, the numbers speak for themselves. Just look at this chart. That already mind-blowing 90% win rate, which was achieved in chaotic real-world conditions, it jumped even higher. Inside the controlled lab of Forj, the win rate over the last 50 camps is a staggering 96%. The data predicted it would work, and the facility proved it. All right, so where does this leave us? What does this all mean for the future of combat sports? Well, it means that everyone, fighters, coaches, managers, promoters, we all have to face a brand new reality. The game has a new baseline for what actually matters. Look, the big takeaway here is just impossible to argue with. We now have the most statistically validated predictor of winning in the history of combat sports, and it has absolutely nothing to do with hype or a good story. It's the system that builds the athlete's physical machine. And what that means is all those old rules we talked about, the promoter, the famous coach, the big gym, they're not irrelevant exactly, but they are now secondary. They're nice to have, for sure, but they're not the primary thing driving success anymore. The system is the driver. Physiology is the driver. And that's really the bottom line, isn't it? After seeing data this clear across a sample size this big, the sport can never really go back. The question is no longer just, who's your coach, but what system are you built on? The sport will never look at what matters the same way again.